fifth grade, it's Mrs. Kopaz. This is your second art assignment of the 2021 school year. And today we are going to specifically talk about people in art and the stories that people tell. We're going to look a little bit at the work of an American artist whose name was Grant Wood. And if we take a look at this painting right here, which is probably his most famous painting called American Gothic, we can see that the artist is trying to tell a story with the painting. So we share our lives with other people. We have people in our family, we play with our friends, we spend a lot of time with other people, and even when we're alone, people are oftentimes in our thoughts. So when we look at artwork, sometimes it makes us think about who we are and how we're connected to other people. Many artists throughout history create art that tells stories about people and their memories and their history, and they show their moods and their feelings of people. They also show their movements and their actions. Through art, we're able to see how people in other times and places might have lived, and we can learn a lot about their stories as well. So if we take a look at these four famous self-portraits, and remember a self-portrait is a work of art that an artist makes based on their own selves, you could probably guess a few things about these artists just by looking at their self-portrait. You might be able to tell what time period they're from. Maybe you can tell what their interests are. Maybe you can get a little bit about the emotion of the different portraits, or what the person is feeling or trying to convey, what emotion they're trying to convey in their self-portrait. So just by looking at the painting of the artist, there's a lot that we can tell and get to know before we even do any research about that artist specifically. Okay, so let's take a little time and talk about expressive faces. And also, while we're doing that, let's talk about some vocabulary words too. So we have three new vocab words today. One is portrait, which is a painting or a drawing, really any type of artwork that features a person's face. The second is proportion, and that is the size of objects in relation to each other and trying to get things, like they appear in real life. And then the third is contour drawing, and a contour drawing is a drawing where we use a lot of lines and not really a lot of shading to, express like what the highlights and shadows look like. We're really just focusing on the line itself. So portraits are a great way for us to remember or even get to know people. A portrait shows the likeness of a person. It can also show the mood, an expression, or how a person is feeling. So even though you have never met the boy in this painting, you can imagine what it might be like to meet him. Artists learn to draw people by looking at the features of the face, and they learn to draw the basic proportions of the face. If we take a look at this little diagram here, you can see how the face is split up. The half point is right about where the eyes would be. The quarter mark is right where the hairline starts, and then the quarter mark on the bottom is right where the nose and the ears line up as well. And you can see how the mouth and the chin go right below that. Proportions are measurements like you're seeing in this, and they're used to compare one part to the other parts or to the whole. We artists use this knowledge all the time to create portraits. So what we're going to do today is we're going to use those guidelines and practice drawing the proportions of the face. You can actually use a mirror to do this. If you have a mirror at home, you can pose in front of it and look at your portrait. You're going to look closely at your face and notice how each of the parts of your face are related to the other parts. And we're just going to use a contour drawing like you see here in this student artwork to show the shape of your face and the details. With contour drawing, you draw really slowly and carefully, and as you work, you imagine that your drawing tool is touching and slowly moving along the edge of the face. You're going to start at one side and then continue up around the other, and then add the details inside the face. You want to keep your eyes mostly on your mirror while you're drawing, And you can use your pencil for thin or sharp lines and the side of your pencil for thicker, heavier lines, okay? So I'm going to do this now. I'm going to get myself set up with my sketchbook, my pencil, and a mirror, and then I will meet you back here. You go ahead and get the same stuff. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get my mirror set up, and I'm just going to put it up so that I can see myself. And I'm really focusing mainly on the face. And as I look in my mirror, I know you can't see me looking in my mirror, but I'm going to spend most of the time just looking at the mirror, not so much looking at the drawing, because this is not about making a drawing that looks exactly like me. The purpose of a contour line drawing is really to force yourself to look at what you're drawing and really get familiar with your subject. So I'm going to just start up at the top of my head, and I'm going to come around, and it's almost like my eye is following the outside shape of my face, kind of like a little ant that's crawling all around. I went a little too far down. I wasn't really looking at my paper too much. I'm mostly looking at myself in the mirror. I'm then going to come back and just give another line for the top of my head. So this is where my hair would go. And if we think back to that guideline paper, I know that my eyes are going to be right about at that half point, and I very lightly just drew a line. My forehead is going to be right at the quarter, and my mouth and the bottom of my ears are going to be at the other quarter. So I'm going to come in now and just draw the shape that I see in that eye. And I'm going to, almost like a football shape, I'm going to look, come back in. And with contour line drawings, I try really hard not to pick my pencil up too much. Again, this is really more so about just getting familiar with the shape of things. And listen, my eyes, they're not symmetrical because I'm barely looking at my paper. Sometimes when I was in college, we would have to do contour line drawings and we couldn't pick the pencil up at all. That was like really challenging. So it had to be one continuous line from beginning to end. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and keep going now with this contour line drawing, and I'm going to fast forward my video a bit. Okay, so here is my finished contour drawing. Now, again, this is a contour drawing. It's a sketch. We're really training our eyes to look at things when we draw from observation. It should not look exactly like you. It should look a little bit like off, kind of, you know. So if it looks a little off, you're doing it right, okay? It shouldn't look exactly like you look in real life. In fact, something else that's a really good exercise is to actually, and I'm just going to do it real quick here, look at something, and I'm looking at my eye in the camera, and this is called a blind contour, and this is when I can't look at my paper or my pencil the whole time, and I'm just going around and drawing the shapes that I see. And you can see, like, I just drew that eye right there, okay? That's a blind contour where you're not looking at your paper at all. You're just looking at what you're drawing. So this is a way that artists really train themselves to observe and look and draw what you see in front of you. I'm looking forward to seeing your contour line drawing. Set yourself up with a mirror. Don't forget, guys, to submit everything through Google Classroom. I'm looking forward to seeing your photos, and let me know if you have any questions at all. Otherwise, I will see you next week. Bye, guys.